Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Andy Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I host top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Bob Bedritis. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Adi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Bob, you have quite an interesting story, and I would love to get into it. But what you are known for is your passion to help business owners to become financially independent.
Exactly. That is what I've developed a reputation for, and we love it. We get up every day helping the men and women who have helped build this country by taking a risk and putting themselves out there and employing people and making a difference to our economy and to their lives. We like to say, and we think about, that we want to help people take care of the people they love, the causes they care about, and make a difference in this world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you do a fantastic job at that. So let's start a little bit with your story of how did you come to be where you're at right now in terms of this position of helping business owners achieve that?
Well, thank you. Well, I grew up in an interesting family. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. My parents were immigrants from Riga, Latvia. And when World War II broke out, my father was 16, put a rifle over his shoulder, and he fought Soviet aggression throughout the war. At the end of the war, and he was wounded in that endeavor. And at the end of the war, the Allies came in, and very few of my family were able to get out, other relatives. But my mother, my father, who hadn't met yet, both were relocated to a displaced persons camp in Munich, Germany, where they met and they married. My father was a pretty good young athlete. He actually played semi-professional basketball in Germany, and his claim to fame was a picture that I still have, was my dad playing against the Harlem Globetrotters post-World War II in Germany. My parents had their papers. They were ready to go to Australia. And at the 11th hour, the First Baptist Church of Cleveland, Ohio, sponsored them to come to America to begin a new life. And they did. And my mother's parents, my grandparents my grandparents on my mom's side came over as well. And my father got a job at a American Automatic Vending in the warehouse, education that ended at age 16. It's what he was qualified to do. Got his education at night, worked his way up, and became the general manager in Columbus, Ohio, where I spent most of my formative years. And I watched my dad have a successful corporate career until when I was in college. I came home one break, and my father let me know that he got fired, that they got bought out by a larger vending company. And they said, Edgar, we no longer need your services. So after 32 years, thank you very much. And 2 weeks and you're gone. And my dad was only 52 at the time. And I can't imagine the stress he was feeling, but he started his own entrepreneurial company, Buckeye Business Associates, and successfully ran that business until he ultimately retired. And my mother became an Avon lady as soon as her feet hit American soil, and did that for all of those years. So I go off to college. I kind of use sports, relationships with people, education as my way to kind of make it through life as an immigrant son. I grew up in a very ethnic household. English is my second language, Latvian being my first, and went off to school to do that. And I began my career in financial services right out of college. And so I had the better part of 2 decades with 2 firms, Merrill Lynch and UBS. And I rode the chairs, I like to say. I was a financial advisor. I was a branch manager. I was the West Coast divisional manager in the 1990s, and then ultimately became national sales manager for UBS. Ultimately became the head of the wealth management group for UBS out of New York. We were running about 10% of all of UBS's North American run rate, as we called it, all revenue for UBS. and I was dying. I was dying personally. Professionally, I was thriving. Personally, I was dying because I had 4 young children, lived in New Jersey, commuted in for, long commutes and into the city, a lot of time on airplanes. And I felt, Adi, I wasn't the dad I wanted to be. I wasn't the husband I wanted to be. I knew I needed to make a change. And I got an unsolicited opportunity to come to Portland, Oregon, to come to M Financial Group, where I was CEO of M Securities. It was a job offer I didn't understand, but I jumped at it because on my West Coast ventures earlier in the 90s, I was in Portland a lot. I loved this city, everything about it. And so I came in 2001. We moved here just a few weeks before 9/11. And I was often on the train, the path into World Trade Center. I may or may not have been there at the time of day on 9/11, probably would not have been, but our elementary school where my kids went lost 9 dads that morning. In any event, I come to Portland, M Financial Group, and lo and behold, after not a long period of time, they decided I wasn't the CEO that they wanted or needed, and so they fired me. And I knew 2 things. I knew, number one, I wasn't going back to the rat race of New York City, and number 2, I love Portland, so I started my own company. I started a company called Paradigm Capital Group, and we were consultants to insurance companies, to banks, to hedge funds, to private equity firms, and we ran that business for 13 years. We had a pretty good team. We were doing that, and lo and behold, I ended up finding myself on airplanes all the time. Kids were older. Nonetheless, I allowed myself to get back into that old paradigm, that old rat race that I was in. And so in 2015, I made the change. I started Oswego Private Wealth Management, and then I began a business of serving high net worth individuals and families. About 18 months into that endeavor, I had a series of unfortunate events. I play a lot of tennis and squash, and I took a squash racket into my eye, and ultimately had to have 9 eye surgeries. While I'm going through that ordeal, I'm diagnosed with cancer and had to have surgeries and a lot of treatment for my cancer. All in all, 24 months, in 24 months, I had 21 surgeries, whether it was for my eye, for my cancer. I even threw a rotator cuff surgery in there just because my deductible was paid off. And I
as well, right?
Yeah, why not? I'd already paid the deductible. Shoulder wasn't feeling great. Let's cut that one too, Doc. So, but during that period of time, I had a lot of time to reflect and think about what it is I do and why I do it. And I made a dramatic shift in my business in 2017. And the shift was, I thought about the clients that I love to serve the most. I thought about my mother's experience, my dad's experience as an entrepreneur. I thought about even my mom's experience as an Avon lady. I watched her do sales, take inventory, be responsible for running her business. When she died at the age of 89, she had been an Avon lady for 61 years. They had a big party shindig at her 60th anniversary. She was one of the top producing Avon ladies in the country. And I thought about all of that. I thought about what I didn't like about corporate life. I was never a very good bureaucrat. Anyway, probably might explain why I got fired from my last job. And I really thought about who I wanted to serve. And I made a commitment. I helped transfer the clients that I had that were, rollover IRAs, Nike clients, Mentor Graphics, Intel type people, terrific people. But I really thought about the business owner and, as I said earlier, the men and women that have helped make this country, my journey as an immigrant son. And I thought about, that's my client. That's who I want to serve. And that's why I'm passionate about getting up every day and helping entrepreneurs, helping business owners become financially independent of their business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a story, and I know you live that, and it's not just a story, it's something that you live passionately and you act passionately every single day to help those business owners. So, Bob, what are the biggest challenges that you see that business owners face in terms of finances?
Well, I find 5. there are five big challenges that I review with everybody I look at. So when I think about what the business owners are challenged with and they run through, the five things are this. Number one, I often work with clients who are wildly successful. They've made plenty of money. They might have a family business. They certainly look at their employees as family and want to take care of the people who help them build the business. And number one, but they can't help thinking that something's slipping through the cracks. That's what keeps them up tonight, I find, by and large. And so number one, they want to make sure they're making smart decisions about money. Am I making good judgments, good decisions? I know you're a part of EO and the forums. That's exactly what you do. You talk about not just their professional lives, but their personal lives. And oftentimes, and you know this as well as I do, oftentimes you don't know where one stops and the other one starts, right?
Right.
And so you want to make sure you're making wise, good, smart decisions, circumspect decisions about money. Number two, you want to mitigate taxes. I mean, taxes regulation, I can't do anything about regulation, but we do have ways that we can help you mitigate taxes within your business. Number three, you want to take care of your family. You want to take care of the heirs in the most efficient, tax efficient, and the most productive way. Four, you want to protect those assets against unnecessary litigation or divorce, sometimes happens. And last of all, to the extent that my clients are charitably minded, we want to magnify those charitable gifts. So smart decisions about money, mitigate taxes, take care of the family, protect the assets against unnecessary litigation, and magnify those charitable gifts. So those are the five areas. And of course, Adi, we don't know what tomorrow holds. That was part of my reflection when I was going through all my surgeries and the cancer and all those things, is no one's guaranteed tomorrow. And there's that anxiety is, have I taken care of everything that we can do? So I start every relationship with what we call the blueprint process. It's a stress test. We take a look at those five areas and we want to find out a lot about our clients, not only the X's and O's of what the balance sheet and the P&L looks like, but what are the goals of the family, the aspirations, where are the trouble points within the family? Because we all have them. We're all imperfect, damaged people in our own ways, right? And we put all of that together and create a plan for our business owners for moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's totally needed. What do you find? We're talking, this podcast is all about systems, right? And creating systems. And I like to give the value to the listeners where they can walk out of this podcast. We go, okay, I need a plan, or I need to implement that, or I need to think about things that I haven't thought about before, right? So, and sometimes it's really helpful in order to get there to really identify the stops or why we do not do that. So you've worked with so many business owners. What would you say are some of the key elements that you have seen that are preventing business owners from following a blueprint like that?
Well, one Adi, is just, by the way, even before I answer that, I just want to say I really admire the work you do and the systems that you create, because you can't manage what you don't measure. Right. You know that better than anybody. And one of the things is, I have a business to run. I don't have time for that. A national survey came out by Forbes magazine, actually, just last year. And it said that 61% of business owners do not work with a wealth manager. Well, why is that? Well, oftentimes 90% of the net worth and everything is in the business. But again, if you think about smart decisions, those things slipping through the cracks, mitigating the taxes, wealth transfer in terms of the next generation or two or three, all those things are mañana. Tomorrow, I'll get to that, because today I have a distribution problem. I have an HR issue. I have other things that I need to get to now. So I think it's just procrastination often just gets in the way of sitting down to have that first meeting, to talk to somebody who can help you work through those issues.
That definitely. What else do you find? Like, do you think there are some misconceptions out there, or fear, or just because, the time, you don't find the time because it's not important enough? So do you think it's maybe lack of education? I mean, what else have you seen?
Well, it's certainly the procrastination that they don't have the time, number one. Number two, they may not understand what the value is, because I've held this belief for a long, long, long time. Most good financial advisors sound exactly the same. If you meet me, or if you meet anybody who, does things similar to wealth management, we all sound the same. So you meet us at a cocktail party, you meet us at a Ducks game, we all sound the same. So how do you differentiate one from the other? Well, I look at wealth management differently. Number one, I look at it as investment consulting. That's a part of it. That's issue number one, smart decisions about money. I also look at it as tax issues. And then can we, should you be structured as an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC? How do you manage those things? How do you mitigate taxes? Not avoid taxes, that would be illegal, but how do you mitigate those taxes and reduce them? That would be wealth enhancement. That would be taking care of mitigating the taxes. Wealth transfer is not only how much money you give to your family in the next generation, but it's also how have you inculcated the values to your family. And so we look at it too through that wealth transfer portal. Wealth protection is there's so many things, from cybersecurity to a lot of things can derail a plan overall. And then, of course, the charitable giving. But we go through a process. We call our process the blueprint process. What I offer to any business owner, particularly if they've been referred to me, we get most of our business referred to us. Most of our clients, I should rephrase it that way. Most of our clients refer to us from CPAs and attorneys and coaches, actually, interestingly enough. And we go through a process where we sit down for about 90 minutes. I really want to ask a lot of questions about your values, your goals, what advisors you've used, the relationships that are important to you and your family, what your interests, your hobbies, the process you use, systems that you use. I want to get a full picture of that. And yes, I also want to look at financial stuff as well. And then I take hours and hours and hours to really analyze that data and come back and synthesize that in easy steps to move forward to get some things done. And back to your original question, I think that's the roadblock often is they don't know what the process is. We have a 5-step process. They don't know, is this going to take forever? I have a business to run. I don't have 1,000 hours to devote to this. Not necessary. It's a few hours over a couple of months. It's maybe 4 or 5 hours over several months of time. It's not too onerous. And at the end of the day, what do I receive for that? What kind of decisions can I make from the information, Bob, that you just provided to me? And then we do something really simple, almost silly, but we prioritize around a mind map within those 5 areas, decisions that can be made. And then we talk about what comes first, what's a second day items, and what do we put in the parking lot. And we color code them green, yellow, and red. And green is a color we use when we've accomplished that task, yellow when we're working on it currently, and red means like, no, this is great. Maybe 2025, we'll get to this issue and we'll get that done. I've literally had clients come in where they'll say, I showed up today. I can't wait to get another green light on my plan. And so we try to make it very systematized and logical, and we're progressing and we're accomplishing something as we go through the process.
That's great. What I'm hearing is like, in order for you to actually be in control of your wealth on the finances, you definitely need a trusted advisor, somebody who can give you advice and can have your best interest in mind, and also have it in the form of a process, so you know where you're going, you know what the process is, what is the beginning point, what's the end point, and where you are in the process in order to achieve that. So that it makes it very simple. Bob, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Easiest place is my website. You can come, OswegoPrivateWealth.com. You can come there, look at our team, look at what we're doing. I've got some of my podcasts on that site as well. And you can just contact us through the website, send me an email, send us an email, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. I often hear I'm often asked what makes me different from other financial advisors. And I think number one, it's the process that we use, that we do have this specialized team, this virtual family office specialized team, that we really surround people with the right people. Because I learned on Wall Street, there never is the smartest person in the room. Although often I've found that somebody thought they were the smartest person in the room, but we all have different disciplines. Adi, what you do, I couldn't do. The CPA can bring information to the table that's outside of my scope of expertise. The attorney brings information outside of my scope of expertise. I'd like to think I bring some information to the table. So we have specialized teams that I put together on behalf of the client. And if they have a terrific CPA, a terrific attorney, I'd like to work with them as well. So working collaboratively, I think, is number one. But number two, what I think really sets me apart from other wealth managers is that I deeply believe that this is about so much more than money. It's not about whoever dies with the biggest pile of cash in the Lamborghini wins, because you still die. I think it's somebody who is able to build into future generations through their family, through their employees, through the value of the business that they had. And I think the human element is the most critical thing. And it's, somebody like me, I've had, and you, and most of our business owners, you've had life experience. Well, I like to amalgamate all of my life experience with my professional experience of raising 4 kids, having grandkids, having moved around the country a little bit, having been in the belly of the beast on Wall Street, and health issues and all the other stuff that we have that's real. We want to bring that into all of the conversations. And I'd like to think I'm a good listener, and I think I'm reasonably good at bringing what somebody's telling me and making it make sense and helping them achieve their goals on their timetable with my background and my expertise.
It's beautifully said, really beautifully said. And that's definitely something that needs to be looked at when you're looking for a trusted advisor. Somebody who has a process and somebody who's genuine and really went through life experience or has the experience so they can relate to what you're going through. I agree 100%. Bob, we can't finish the podcast without thanking Julie Marquis, who introduced us. So a big shout out to Julie, EOS implementer extraordinaire. And I did a great podcast with her where she actually went through how she conducts an L10 meeting, basically a meeting with the leadership team, with groups and businesses that she works with. And I'm going to include the show, the show link in the notes of this show so people can check out that episode I did with Julie. So thank you very much, Julie. Yeah. And Bob, I can't thank you enough for giving us this, basically enlightening us about what wealth management is actually about. How do you actually choose the right trusted advisor? And that it has to be organized, it has to be systematic, and it can be accomplished. So I hope our listeners got a lot out of it. They're going to visit your website, they're going to contact you, and thank you so much.
Yeah, hey, Adi, if I could interject too and give my shout out to Julie and EOS operating system. In 2018, after I was done with all of my health scares, and by the way, I'm cancer-free. It's not remission. I'm 100% cancer-free. I'm healthy. I'm great. And our team here, my son, Eric, my daughter, Kim, are part of the team. Jacques is our paraplanner. We have a terrific team here as well, and they're all younger than me. But with that said, 2018, we implemented the EOS operating system into our business, and the L10 meetings and everything else, the rocks, everything that Julie does is we swear by. We think it's terrific. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.